Titian is considered one of the most important Venetian painters of the Renaissance. He influenced many artists after him, including Rembrandt, with his unusual way of using colors and applying paint. His special way of painting is documented by Palma il Giovane, a student of Titian. The painter used to sketch the composition with large amounts of boldly applied paint and then turn the canvas towards the wall, often for several months. He then subjected them to an extremely rigorous inspection as if they were his sworn enemies, and looked for mistakes. In the final phase of completion, he painted more with his fingers than with his brush. In this video, I will show you 3 characteristic features of his method, which modern painters also use frequently today. Hello and welcome back to Art for Everybody. My name is Evi Steiner-Böhm. I'm an artist from Germany, and I also have 2 assistants who are called Pedro and Rosa. And when it comes to oil painting, there also is Angelo, who was named after my teacher in oil painting. And now let's have a look at Titian's tricks. For my demonstration, I use the still life from one of the flashcards I developed for my German students. In terms of colors, I use similar colors to Titian, namely the earth colors light ochre and burnt umber, madder lake, black and ultramarine blue. Lead white would actually be appropriate as a white, but because of its toxicity, it's only available to restorers in Germany, so I use the modern titanium white. My brushes, of course, are also modern brushes, such as flat filbert brushes, soft synthetic dagger brushes or round brushes. And what everyone always has at their disposal, my hands. Titian started out like all painters of his time and worked on white painting surfaces onto which a preliminary drawing was applied. This was then often covered with a colored imprimatura. In his later work, however, he deviated from this. X-rays show that he did not sketch the preliminary drawing with ink or watercolor, but directly with thin oil paint, correcting the composition several times. He is also credited with using dark or colored backgrounds, which means painting from dark to light, which many artists after him have adopted. However, science differs here, so I cannot be sure. In any case, my teacher, an Italian painter, taught me this as the typical Titian way of working, and I still like using it today. For my demo, I painted my painting surface with reddish acrylic paint. Traditionally, a primer made of rabbit skin glue and chalk would have been used, of course. The second feature of the Titian method, in contrast to the classic working method, is the colored underpainting. Typically, other painters of his time would underpaint a motif with a so-called grisaille, with which the light and dark values of the painting were carefully created. Titian did without this and created his picture in the same way that many painters do today. He made a first rough application of paint in which the most important light and dark values were also determined. In traditional oil painting, it was considered a great skill to achieve a very even application of paint, similar to today's photorealistic paintings. The finest color nuances and color gradients were achieved by applying multiple thin glazes. Titian deviated from this. He played with a different application of paint, for example by either glazing the paint several times or, in important parts of the picture, applying it thickly. Here, as in modern paintings, the brushstroke is often visible. This appears rough up close, but blurs into a harmonious color impression when seen from a distance. In other parts of the painting, such as the background, the layers of paint remain very thin and were often only glazed once or twice on top of each other. The big advantage is that the three-dimensional effect of the object is enhanced by the fact that the light is refracted differently in the thicker layers of the paint. The surfaces can also be blurred very roughly or finely, which further increases the appeal of a painting. The use of fingers was unusual but very efficient. I personally like to use this method in landscape painting to create a subtle transition between the colors in clouds. It also works wonderfully in portraits. Titian is also credited with a method of shading where thick paint is drawn over dry areas of the painting, which then remains uneven and creates interesting broken effects. Many artists after him took up his ideas, especially Rembrandt, who perfected the sophisticated surface design to such an extent that even today we do not know how he managed it. What you can see now is the end result of my little still life, once again in a gold frame, which supports the effect of the colors. The plasticity is of course also increased by the dramatic light and dark values, which are very typical of the old masters. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and could learn something from it, and see you next time. I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.